so much. I love you so much. I love you so much. I love you so much.
Hello, all you positive heads out there. Thanks for tuning your beautiful brainwaves into another episode of the Positive Head Podcast, where we are firmly convinced that creating success and happiness is rooted in understanding the ultimate nature of reality and the fact that as human beings, we are all immensely powerful fractals of the one and only source consciousness which creates and animates all things. After years of exploring this awe-inspiring truth on this podcast, I'm super excited to announce that we are now going even deeper down the rabbit hole on the new late-night style consciousness-elevating talk show called Optimistic, which features none other than you, the listeners. Optimistic is taped out of the epic spaceship-esque 8-bedroom property we call the Mystic Manor that myself and the rest of the Optimistic crew now navigate reality from in Venice Beach, California. And you are invited to come experience a Mystic Manor immersion week with us. During your week-long stay, you'll enjoy unique workshops, chef-prepared meals, one-on-one time coaching and consulting with me, and even co-creating magic with me as a guest on both Optimistic and an episode of the Positive Head podcast. When I started this, my aim with these immersive retreats was to facilitate the ultimate spiritual upgrade and tune-up, so to speak, for our guests while providing them with one of the most memorable experiences of their lives. And I'm happy to say that as of this recording, every guest at the end of their trip so far has told me that they have had a profound and transformational experience at the Mystic Manor and that they definitely want to come back. All that being said, we only have a limited number of spots available between now and next July. And as of this recording, about half of those spots are already filled. So if there's any part of you that is screaming, yes, I want to come, I feel like I need to be there, go now and book a slot with me to discuss how we can put our heads together and make it happen at calendly.com/talkwithbrandon. I know for some people, there is also that little voice in their head saying, why not? I can't get off work. I can't afford it, and on and on and on. But, really, Henry Ford, I think, said it best. Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. And I'm confident that where there's a will, there's a way. And I'm personally committed to doing everything in my power, including discounts and payment plans, to get you here if it is something that truly feels like a huge yes for you energetically and like you're meant to be here. Once again, the link to book time to discuss with me is calendly.com/talkwithbrandon. That's spelled calendly.com/talkwithbrandon. All one word, of course. And book in some time and look forward to seeing you soon here at the Mystic Manor.
All right, all you positive heads, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's Thursday as I record, and I realize that you're probably not getting this on this day, on Thursday. You might be listening on Friday. You might be listening any other day of the week. And what I just think is so cool about that is that I'm sitting here talking to you, and it's Thursday for me, but you're sitting here listening, and it's a whole nother day for you. Time is really just an illusion here. It's pretty interesting that I'm basically sitting here talking to myself, but not anymore in the timeline that you're listening to this. It's a pretty neat thing to think about. One of the things I think about as I'm sitting here talking to myself in my computer, talking to you out of time, is all of you and what kind of places you're all in and what's going on in your lives. And lately, it's been awesome because some of you have reached out and asked questions for me to address on the podcast. So that's what I'm going to do today. And I'm really excited that y'all did that. I really enjoy answering questions. And if you are listening and have any questions that you'd like me to talk about on the show, please send me an email. My email is Erica, ERICA, @positivehead.com. And before I get into the questions today, I wanted to give a special shout out to one of our new listeners, Rachel. And she posted on the Facebook group this morning a really amazing story about manifesting a different reality in her life. I'm not going to read the exact thing because I have the questions to get to and they're fairly long. But just to summarize what she said, after listening to an episode last week where we talked about praying rain, and to imagine the feeling of what it feels like to be in that other reality that we want to manifest. She's been through some recent trauma with losing both of her parents and inherited both their dogs. And the dogs were fighting a lot. And so after that episode, she decided to go through life thinking that the dogs were all best friends and that they loved each other. And her boyfriend did the same. And guess what happened? The dogs stopped fighting. They weren't even growling at each other. They were all laying in the bed together last night, and even one of the cats joined them. That is the power of positive thinking. And I am just so floored, Rachel, that you were able to manifest that so quickly. I think it's beautiful. Animals really resonate very quickly with the changes in their energetic field. And so they're a really good example of this power, this innate power that we all have within us. And I just also wanted to send you so much love. I know this time in your life is extremely difficult, probably the most difficult time in your life thus far. And I just want you to know how much support you have and how much love we all have for you, and we are all sending to you to support you. So I have some really great questions to get to today. First one is all the way from Australia, and I love knowing that you guys are all over the world. It's the coolest thing. I'm sitting here in Scottsdale, Arizona, and you're sitting there in Australia, Spencer. So Spencer sent me an email. And he said, "Hi, Erica. First of all, loving the podcast all the way from Australia. I only stumbled across them the other day, yet I feel enlightened by the amazing knowledge provided by the Positive Headspace channel. I got a bit of a question to ask as I'm relatively new to manifestations. I've recently been through a semi-mutual breakup with my ex-girlfriend. We find that we couldn't align our thinking, resulting in arguments. For the past week or so that we haven't had contact, she's been on my mind constantly. It's almost unbearable. I've tried meditation and seeing other people, although the end result just leads me to thinking of her. I want more than anything for us to give it another go, as I love her. I guess I'm reaching out today to ask if there was a way of thinking for me to use to become more content without her, or even better, if there was a way of thinking or action I could take to help me take a step towards us giving things another go. I understand that this is quite a big question, as well as being quite specific, and that if you have other questions to answer on your podcast, please feel free to ignore this strange email." No way, not ignoring it and not strange. Once again, thank you for the entertainment you and the team provide on the Positive Headspace YouTube channel. Warm regards, Spencer. Well, Spencer, thank you so much again for sending me this question. And, this is a great question, great questions. And this applies to a lot of people right now. So I know that there are people listening who are like, yes, I totally understand what you're going through, Spencer. I certainly understand what you're going through. I have been there in my life. I totally get it. Relationships are really tough. They can be really tough. And it's hard to know exactly just what to do when you're in the midst of all of this intense emotion. So one thing I always like to remind myself about relationships is that they're not always peas and carrots, and that disagreements are normal and that they can be healthy. And it just depends on how we deal with them. And then this is where the most healthy and honest communication is very helpful. At the same time, we're all on our own journeys, and the person that we're with can either be supporting of that journey or they can be unsupportive of that journey and sometimes can hinder it. And we really need to consider what is best for us in these situations. Because, falling in love is really easy, isn't it? It's easy to love somebody that is fun and you have a good time with and, enjoy spending time together. But the fun stuff, that's easy. It's really when you get down to it and go through the harder times with this person, if the love can then deepen through those times, it then becomes unconditional, and that's where it has the staying power. But sometimes these hard times just drive us apart. And maybe that's because that person is not meant to be our lifetime partner. And that's okay. It's okay to have experiences with different people and to allow those experiences to be in the time that they were in and appreciate them for that time. That old saying, better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. And I think that's so true. And I think oftentimes we, after being hurt, we can allow ourselves to shut ourselves off so that we're not allowing ourselves to get hurt again. But then that also closes us off to opening our hearts to the next possibility. And I think that when we are in relationships with people who we really care about this much, who we have a lot of love for, and you really feel a strong connection to, it's because we have a soul contract with that person. Those strong feelings, those strong resonances and connections that you feel, to me, that signals a soul contract. But that doesn't mean that, again, that they're meant to be life partners. Some of them, you've heard this one too, right? Some are around for a reason, some are around for a season, and some are around for a lifetime. But regardless, they're all teaching us lessons about us learning to be the greatest and grandest version of ourselves. Because this is how we learn, through our reflections with others. And in these close relationships, like a partner, that's where we really learn. We really learn about all our good stuff and all our ugly stuff too. And it helps us work on ourselves. And that's one of the best things about relationships. It helps us work on ourselves. And that's what our soulmates are doing for us. They are helping us to work on ourselves. And sometimes they're doing that through, unfortunately, breaking our hearts, leaving us, not, loving us the way that we feel like we need to be loved. That's for a reason. I had an experience that I'll share with you. I did this unfortunately for myself, way too long of a period of time, where I was pining over one man who is, I find out later, to be actually my twin flame. So it made sense why I felt so connected to him. But we are not meant to be together. It took me years to realize this. And in the meantime, what I did was completely close myself off to anything else, because I was so, like, this is the guy, because I feel so strongly. The thing is, what I ultimately wound up realizing is that at the end of the day, this isn't actually what I wanted for myself. I loved him dearly, but the person that he was and the lifestyle that he led was not the kind of life I wanted to live. And the minute that I put myself first and I started thinking about what was really acceptable in my life, that's when everything changed. It was like, it completely changed. It wasn't about him anymore. It was about me. And so I spent so much time focusing on him and how great he was and holding everybody up to his pedestal, which is a terrible thing to do, which, Spencer, it sounds like you're doing a little bit right now, and that's okay. It's a human thing to do. But I would say right now, take some time to yourself, because that's what it took for me. It took being alone and really being comfortable being by myself, really learning about myself, learning about all of my archetypes and why I do the things I do, why I attract the things that I attract, right? All mirrors and all lessons. So in this alone space, you really get an idea of exactly what you want in your life, what's acceptable, what's not, and then you will settle for nothing less. Being alone is the most beautiful gift you can give yourself. And I know it's tough when you're missing someone and you are constantly thinking of them all the time. I would say maybe don't be dating other people right now unless you're going to say, hey, listen, I just broke up with this girl I'm totally in love with, and I just need to get my mind off of her. So I want to hang out with someone else. Is that cool that we go out? So unless that's like the conversation that you're going to have with the girl that you're going to take out, because it's not fair to her, right? Because she's probably excited, she thinks you're cute, she's going out on a date. Meanwhile, your heart is totally somewhere else. At the same time, that's okay, because she attracted you in for a reason too, right? Still, I would say be honest with yourself, be honest with everyone that you come into any kind of a relationship with, and things become really clear when there's really everything's out on the table. And when you find that you're so comfortable being alone, you also find that you don't need a relationship. You don't need somebody to come in to your life, because you're whole and complete all by yourself. So when you can completely let it go, that way you can then open yourself to all the possibilities. If you keep your heart space filled with that one person, there's no room for anybody else. And if you can do all of this, and if you can both do it, and then you both want to give it another go, coming from a place of wholeness and completeness, then give it a go and see what happens. Knowing that it's okay, whatever does happen, and live in the moment and just be grateful for that moment, because you really never know what's going to happen tomorrow. I'll tell you what, in my experience with relationships, I've recently met my lifetime partner, and there's a huge difference between how this feels and how the other ones felt. The other ones felt like learning through my mistakes, learning through hard times. My mom used to always say to me, Erica, you got to learn the hard way, don't you? Yeah, I do. I certainly learned the hard way. And the hard way is not listening to yourself, not listening to those internal feelings of, this isn't quite right. And I don't really resonate with how that person reacts, or how they talk to me all the time, or however it is. Our energies don't mix. When you meet that person and you're in a relationship with that person who is your person, you just know it. There are no questions about, is this right? It just feels right. And that's how you know. You're not questioning it. And that does not mean that you're not going to have moments where you argue, where you piss each other off, where you get on each other's nerves. All those things, they happen. At the end of the day, you still love this person unconditionally and still want to go through life partnered with them, because they're your teammate. And all of these things are not a but a even though, right? It's not I love this person, but I wish he wasn't like this, It's more of, although this person does these things, I seriously love them. So when you're saying those buts, think about that in your relationship. So Spencer, I hope all of that helps. I would say, ultimately give it time and do things that you like. Focus on Spencer. Worry about you, taking care of you and what's best for you, and everything else will fall right into place. Okay, one more question. Hey there, my name is Stacia. I've been a listener for almost 2 years now. My first episode I listened to was actually one that you did. Your voice is it's so soothing right now, isn't it? When I fumble over all my words, I do that a lot. Actually, I never usually leave it in, but that one was perfect because it's so soothing when I fumble. So I'm going to leave that in. Hope y'all enjoyed that, and I'll finish reading what she said. Your voice is so soothing, and I absolutely love the topics you talk about. I had a question for you, though. Some background. My boyfriend and I live in a house with his best friend and his girlfriend. They are lovely people, and I enjoy their company for the most part, but I do not resonate with them, and it's very mentally exhausting living with them. Well, physically, too. I'm the one that cleans up after everyone, etc., even after talking to them multiple times about it. Anyway, the house we are renting is being foreclosed, so we have to move out, and I would like to not move back in with them. But my boyfriend is literally refusing to move unless we continue to live with them. I've talked to him multiple times about why I cannot live with them, but it looks like I'm going to be sticking it out for at least another 2 years. So I guess here are my questions. What can I do to recharge my energy after they drain me constantly? Is it selfish to want to move out on my own? What is your honest opinion on this situation? I am told I'm being too dramatic and constantly feel kicked in the dirt, and I am just unsure what to do. Thank you so much for taking the time to read, and I absolutely adore you. Much, much love, Stacia. I adore you, Stacia. Thank you so much. Much love to you. Well, what would I do? Well, since you asked about my honest opinion, honestly, I'd be out. That's me. I have a kind of personality where if my living situation is unpleasant, I will find another one. I have moved so many times in my life because I am so serious that my space, that my home needs to be energetically safe for me. It's a big deal. And I think that the biggest thing when I read about your situation is boundaries. And this is such a tough situation, and I get it. I've been in a similar situation myself, and I moved out and got my own place. And it didn't last very long, but it was what I needed at the time. And, if you hadn't already tried to address this a whole bunch of times, which it seems like you have, and they keep just kind of, shoving you off like, oh, stop whining about it. They're not being that respectful and not very compassionate to your needs. And so that would be a really difficult situation for me personally to live in. So do I think it's selfish that you want to move out on your own? Absolutely not. It's loving yourself completely and 100% to be wanting to move out on your own. So I don't think you're being too dramatic at all. I certainly think that if you went and got your own little place, you would feel a whole lot better. It's hard to come home to an environment like that. And if you're doing it for your boyfriend, I would just express to him how much you love him, but you love yourself more, and you really need to put you first. And the situation's just unacceptable to you. And that's it. That's your boundary. I'm sorry. This is what's okay in my life. And I need good space to live in, good energetic space. And, not everybody understands that. And that's okay, because nobody needs to understand or be accepting of what's okay for you, right? You define that, and it doesn't matter what anybody else's opinion is. Yeah. You do what you want that makes you happy. Always put yourself first. Put your oxygen mask on first. You can't help anybody else in that state. Like, you're the helper at the house, always doing things for people, but at what cost to yourself? And I say, put yourself first. You love them and love yourself enough to get your own space. If you can do it, if it's financially feasible for you, then that is definitely what I would do. And, maybe even give them one more good, healthy opportunity to sit down and talk about it. And if that doesn't work out, then I wouldn't put yourself through any more of it. Now, the one question I didn't address, how do you recharge your energy every day? You know, that's something, whether you live with people who quote unquote drain you or work with people who drain you. It's tough out there when that is happening on a daily. So how do we recharge ourselves after we feel drained? So this is where we do the things we love. Listen to things that we enjoy listening to. Taking a walk in nature. That's a beautiful way to recharge. A great way to just wash off the day and wash off all of the energetics and the muck and the mire of the day is to shower. Shower before bed washes it all off, gets you nice and clean, fresh to go to bed. And then when you get in your bed, you're not putting all that energy in the bed that you're laying in day after day. So that's just a quick energy tip. Wash it all off at night. That's always helped me in the past. So Stacia, I hope that helps. Maybe I didn't say what you wanted to hear, but that's what I would do, love. I would just set my boundaries and do what is best for me and know that that is what is best for everyone. And it might not always seem it right at the beginning, but doing what's best for you is always what is best for the whole. No doubt about it. Much love to you, Stacia. So today, everybody, I am just going to read a poem, actually, to leave us with. I'll still play a song, but I also want to read this poem because I've actually been wanting to read this poem for a while now, and it just didn't fit into any of the other shows. But these two questions, this poem fits beautifully. It's called The Invitation by Oriah Mountain Dreamer. It doesn't interest me what you do for a living. I want to know what you ache for, and if you dare to dream of meeting your heart's longing. It doesn't interest me how old you are. I want to know if you will risk looking like a fool for love, for your dream, for the adventure of being alive. It doesn't interest me what planets are squaring your moon. I want to know if you have touched the center of your own sorrow, if you have been opened by life's betrayals, or have become shriveled and closed from fear of further pain. I want to know if you can sit with pain, mine or your own, without moving to hide it or fade it or fix it. I want to know if you can be with joy, mine or your own, if you can dance with wildness and let the ecstasy fill you to the tips of your fingers and toes without cautioning us to be careful, to be realistic, to remember the limitations of being human. It doesn't interest me if the story you're telling me is true. I want to know if you can disappoint another to be true to yourself. If you can bear the accusation of betrayal and not betray your own soul. If you can be faithless and therefore trustworthy. I want to know if you can see beauty, even when it's not pretty, every day, and if you can source your own life from its presence. I want to know if you can live with failure, yours and mine, and still stand on the edge of the lake and shout to the silver of the full moon, yes. It doesn't interest me to know where you live or how much money you have. I want to know if you can get up after the night of grief and despair, weary and bruised to the bone, and do what needs to be done to feed the children. It doesn't interest me who you know or how you came to be here. I want to know if you will stand in the center of the fire with me and not shrink back. It doesn't interest me where or what or with whom you have studied. I want to know what sustains you from the inside when all else falls away. I want to know if you can be alone with yourself and if you truly like the company you keep in the empty moments. I think that sums it up quite nicely. I'm going to leave you with a song for today. This is True to Myself by Ziggy Marley. Till next time, everyone. Love you all.
And if you're feeling the call to come for a week retreat style Mystic Manor immersion, remember to go now and book your time to speak with me directly about stepping into the optimistic vortex at calendly.com/talk with Brandon while there are still spots left. Otherwise, I look forward to co-creating magic with you at the Mystic Manor.
Yesterday, I say, and it's not the same old thing over again. I say, just do what you feel and don't you fool yourself. I say, 'cause I can't make you happy unless I I've got to be true to myself. 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 Day in, day out, I've asked many questions. I say, truth that never changes. I say, if you don't deal with it, it keeps killing you a little by little. I say, call me selfish if you will, my life I alone can live. I say, I've got to be true to myself. To be true to myself. Anyway now, got to be true to myself. Got to be true to myself. I don't care if it hurts. I'm tired of lies and all these games. I've reached a point in life, no longer can I be this way. Don't come crying to me. I too have shed my share of tears. I'm moving on, yes I'm grooving on. To be true to myself. Got to be true to myself. Anyway, y'all, got to be true to myself. Got to be true to myself. Come on now. Got to be true. Got to be true. Got to be true to myself. To be true to myself.